Good evening. My name is Marlena Rogers, and this is my video post to the counselor impairment assignment. I have learned from the text and other readings the magnitude of responsibility that I have as a counselor to maintain my competence in the field. A part of being competent is knowing my strengths and weaknesses to avoid pitfalls, maintaining my CEUs, so my educational requirements, and keeping a work-life balance by participating in self-care. The therapeutic impairment occurs with a counselor when there is a significant impact on a counselor's professional functioning, which compromises the client's care or poses potential harm for the client, and that is quoted by Lawson and Vinart, 2005. Upon reading the NCBLPC Disciplinary Actions website, I became aware of the serious nature of violating the principles that we are being trained on. I was surprised to see a couple of revoked and relinquished licenses. As I filtered through the names, I came across a former colleague who lost his license for an inappropriate relationship with a client. In his hearing, he admitted to being fired 9 times for inappropriate boundaries. And I'm sad to say that I'm not surprised. His conduct was similar when I worked with him. Aside from being surprised about knowing someone on the list, I became acutely aware of the legal ramifications of negligence on the part of the counselor. Other disciplinary actions I reviewed include another individual who crossed professional boundaries with 2 clients by canceling them. There were 2 female LPCs who lost their license for providing services to individuals they had a dual relationship with. Another counselor paid $80 for a client to take a cab to his shelter in another county. This caused the client to disengage from the services he was receiving from that provider. A counselor was put on probation for not completing any treatment documentation and not filing insurance claims for her patient, despite telling her on 4 to 5 occasions that she had filed the paperwork. I was shocked to learn that a counselor made a safety contract with a client who was 11 years old for self-harming behaviors after he disclosed that he had attempted to harm himself. She did this contract via text and never consulted the client's guardian, and did not document this exchange with the client in the client's record. Further, the counselor did not see the client for a week after the incident. There was a counselor who lost her license for Medicaid fraud, and she literally did 1 year in jail. An example of how self-care, or the lack of, resulted in counselor impairment would be a counselor who lost her license for reporting she attended a training that she did not attend. The counselor shared that she was overworked in her hearing and that she stayed home to get much needed rest. In this way, the counselor was impaired by her lack of sleep. Her judgment was impaired by her decision to lie about attending the training. The counselor reported feeling overworked, and she was impaired by the demands of her job. Section C.2.G in the ACA Code of Ethics states impairment states a counselor must monitor themselves for any impairment, including physical, mental, or emotional. Counselors must refrain from counseling when they are aware that they are impaired. Counselors must take whatever steps are necessary to seek assistance for their impairment, and to avoid counseling during this time. Counselors must monitor one another, and their supervisors must be vigilant over supervisees and be willing to intervene in times where they notice there is an impairment. What I learned from this assignment is the gravity and the responsibility that I have as a counselor in training, and to be a counselor future is to adhere to the rules and responsibilities and policies that are required of me, and understand that if I do not do those things, that my license to practice counseling is in jeopardy of probation, restrictions, relinquishing, or revocation. Thank you for listening to my video, and I hope that you learned something.